The angels have told me that the difference between us and them is that they are the light of the divine. We are the spark of the divine. So angels are not like us. They are like an essence. The idea that they are an essence that is literally everywhere all the time. And that we have all these different identities within the angelic realm. We have Archangel Michael and Gabriel, and we have all these different personalities, but it works like a collective. So, for example, how is it that Archangel Michael could be with so many people all at once?
Welcome to the Awaken Magazine podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders who are helping our world awaken to love. I'm your host, David Trotter, and today I want to share with you an inspiring conversation with Ann Tucker. She's a healer and trance channel of the Angel Collective, Mother of Creation, and Yeshua. And Ann will be joining us speaking and channeling at the San Diego Transcendence Retreat this September in San Diego, California. If you'd like to get more information and tickets, you can find that at SanDiegoTranscendenceRetreat.com, and we hope to see you there. Now, in this conversation with Ann, she shares with us how she went from corporate executive to trance channel. And I love asking all the questions about how did it happen? What did you feel like? What's it feel like now? What's going in your mind, in your heart? All of those questions I find so fascinating. And so you'll be able to hear her answers. She also shares with us how cultivating your spiritual gifts is not so much about adding abilities to your life, but more about clearing whatever it is that's blocking you from a connection to the divine. She also shares with us that any personal healing or corporate healing that we are doing here on this globe is not about going around the issue, around the problem, but it's about going through it and integrating whatever that is into our life. And then I ask her if she's got any messages from the Angel Collective, and so she takes time to channel these messages of wisdom and encouragement. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Awaken Magazine podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Click subscribe. Leave a rating or a review. That's an easy way for you to help us spread the word about these inspiring interviews that we release each and every week. All right, let's dive into this conversation and channeling session with Ann Tucker. Ann, thank you so much for taking time to connect with us today. It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, so I want to read a short passage from your book. And as you know, your book is called What Comes Next, A Channeled Guide to Navigating the Greatest Shift of Our Time. And you share a message in your book. You actually, I love the way that you did this, is you're basically kind of commenting, there's commentary on the messages from the angels, and then you have a QR code to the message. I was like, this is genius.
Thank you.
And so you shared a message from June 10th, 2021 that says, "It will be better than now. There are greater opportunities yet ahead in this world as it becomes, chances to do and be as you have not explored yet on earth, chances to have our help in reaffirming your place, to develop a society based on love and consideration for one another, to be in harmony and have place of mind over matter. Indeed, creation becomes more fertile." It was like this message of hope that I'm reading. And so I say that as the backdrop to my question, which is, with everything that's going on in our world right now, what do you sense is unfolding around us?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so glad you pulled that particular quote because that is just such an uplifting. And the angels are I find them to be really inspiring and very hope filled. The messages always are, even when they're delivering sometimes difficult messages. It's always shown from the perspective of where it's carrying us, you know? And you're right that like when we look out into our world, things seem more polarized than ever. It seems to be, and honestly, like much of the stuff that I described, that from the angel messages in the book, that the messages that they shared in the book, a lot of them are talking about the events that seem to be on cue to be coming up very soon here. There's So the question is sort of like, how can we be where we are right now, seeing increasing polarity, increasing war, increasing chaos? And then here's the messages and the angels saying it's going to become wonderful and lovely and perfect. Like how do these two things fit together? And the way that I see that is that it's the case with all healing, that the way is never around, it's always through. And that the earth and all of society, human collective consciousness, will heal in the same way that we heal individually, which is that healing is really a process of integrating all that we are. And all of the stuff that we're seeing come to the surface right now, it isn't new. It was always there. It was just buried, right? For example, the Black Lives Matter movement, the Me Too movement, these were not things that came out of thin air. Those were truths that were held within the collective that had been kept silent, that were rising to the surface to be witnessed. And so everything that we're seeing right now, the reason why things seem to be increasingly like a rubber band being stretched and stretched and stretched, it's like, oh my gosh, it's on every forefront. It's on the economic, it's political, it's earth changes, it's social, it's literally on every factor. We're being pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled. And that is because the way to the other side is through. And all of this stuff has to come up to the surface. And it's a little bit like shedding a skin, like shedding the outer layer, getting rid of the things that no longer serve us. The only way to truly clear something is to witness it, to allow it to be observed, to allow it to be true and to be observed so that we can process the energy and move through it. So I see it not as something that is like, are we farther away because the world is increasingly chaotic? Instead, ironically, the more chaotic it gets, the closer we are to this brighter future.
And thank you for sharing that. It is very profound. I love what you said. We got to go through it. We can't go around it. And I love how you connected that the transformation on Earth is the same as our own transformation.
Yeah.
We can't like get out of the process, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I do want to hear about your own journey of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. And I kind of like to go back into your upbringing. Because as a kid, were you raised in a home that had some sort of spirituality or faith, or did that come to you later in life?
Oh my gosh, it's funny. I think I was raised in a total absence. Like my parents were divorced growing up, and they both remarried. So I had four parents. Each one was raised in a different religious tradition. So literally nobody won. Like nobody we like I did go to like I had a friend who was Catholic, and when I spent the night at her house, I would go to mass with her. So I went with sometimes. So I went a few times to a Catholic mass. I went to a Lutheran. I think I was baptized. Anyways, so but the point is, and then my parents, particularly my mom, was a super intellectual. So very much like that was the religion, was intellectualism. So the
Mhm.
things that were, so I had almost no exposure. My dad was my birth dad when I was a little older. He was into astrology, and that was kind of it. And so anytime any little whisper of the metaphysical came my way, I just glommed onto it. I read a book when I was a kid, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and it's a Roald Dahl book, the same guy who wrote James and the Giant Peach.
Mm.
And in the book, it describes a guy who it's of course it's Roald Dahl, so it's got this crazy twist and all this kind of stuff. But the meat of the story is there's this guy who discovers a way that he can learn by studying with a yogi. He can learn to cheat at cards, but he does it by seeing without his eyes. And he does it through this process. That was the first introduction I ever had to meditation. In the book, he describes sitting and staring into the light of a candle. So I literally sat on the bathroom floor with a candle, staring into the flame of a candle, trying to see if I could see without my eyes. And then I
How
was
old
like,
were you? How
oh,
old were you?
I was probably 8, 9, 10, 10, like
Wow.
10 years old. And then I became like worried that I was playing with fire. So I stopped. But I mean, that was it. That was my entire exposure to the metaphysical. There was no internet. There was no resources to
Mhm.
discover anything. So I was always curious, very curious. Then there was a show, 60 Minutes show came out about LSD. Oh no, that was another thing entirely. There was another one about, we used to watch 60 Minutes, and there was a show about ESP. This I was trying to say, not LSD, ESP.
Slight difference.
Slight difference. And they had all these kids who were trying to guess behind the cards. And in that show, I knew, like I was like, whatever ESP was, like I knew I had it, but I just didn't know. And I knew at some point I was like, I know I can do that. Like I just knew it. So there was things as a kid, but in total absence of any structure or context to put it in.
And at what point did you then like get reintroduced older in life to these
So
concepts?
I think that planted the seed. The curiosity for me was always there. And so I did pay attention to astrology. And I would have these experience, but right around, it started with some incredibly crazy dreams that were premonitions that showed me my future. And then 5 years later, I had those dreams happen, and to the T, like not an approximation. It was like I had been in that place, physically seen everything, all the details, everything. And then I had told people about the dream. So I know I wasn't crazy. And then 5 years later, I'm in that experience, and I dreamt about my future. And that, once it came true, once I saw it, it was like something unlocked, and I started having all these crazy psychic experiences. So my gateway, the gateway drug for me, speaking of LSD, the gateway drug for me to spirituality was spiritual gifts. It was, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? I need to discover this. And it wasn't until later, like at the time, I thought that developing your spiritual gifts was like the most exciting thing. And then it finally dawned on me that eventually we're all going to die. And when we go to the other side, we have all the spiritual gifts. Like, why does it matter? Like, why should we spend this precious incarnation having that be the focus? When we get it automatically, like you pass go, you get your $200 no matter what. And the truth of it, all that really matters is the connection, is the connection to the spirit. But it took me a while to get there.
Go deeper with that for us when you
Yeah.
say, because that is a very like unique perspective. Like, 'cause so many people are going, how many certifications can I get? How many modalities can
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
stack up to help people? That seems like more of the pursuit of those spiritual gifts. You're saying the point is the connection. What is the connection? Why is that important?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a big misunderstanding sometimes in the world of spirit, that many people make the assumption that just because someone can channel or someone is a healer, that they are somehow more connected or more evolved in some way. But think about this. When someone has a near death experience, often they leave a foot in spirit, and it opens the door, and they will come back, and all of a sudden all these spiritual gifts will manifest. Well, that person has not necessarily gone through any type of facing their issues or dealing with their trauma or anything. They just, all of a sudden, they can channel. But what comes through, we are the filter. So what comes through is always going to be tainted by the perspective of our wounds. So the process, as I began working on myself as a channel, I quickly realized that the holy grail of this process of developing your spiritual gifts is about clearing your own channel to become as clear of a conduit to that connection that I'm talking about as possible. The idea is to try to integrate as much of yourself so that you can see clearly, and that makes you a clear channel to spirit. And that, regardless of what everybody has spiritual gifts, but regardless of what your gifts are, they will come through more clearly the more work we do on ourselves. But being a channel or a healer or whatever it is doesn't automatically make you. It does. It's not an indication of how connected you are in terms of your own clarity, in terms of your own healing work that you've done.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I discovered for myself that it's really about, how clear is your conversation, however that conversation is happening, how clear is your conversation with spirit. And that is about everything always comes back to self-love. That how and self-love, to me, the definition, it's really about uh how much of our entire experience, the entirety of everything we've ever said, done, or has been ever said or done to us, is there anything that we are pushing away or wish didn't happen or trying not to experience? Or have we gotten to a place where we are allowing everything in our experience to exist? Are we integrating all of it and loving ourselves through it? And when we get there, that opens the connection. That's what I'm talking about. That's the holy grail.
And my goodness, I feel like I'm getting a master class on channeling. This is so good. This is so good. Yeah, it's so powerful. You don't know this, but actually was a Christian pastor for over a decade, and my whole
Wow.
life was like centered around that.
Wow.
And what's so fascinating, the connection is, in the Christian world, you would have, still do have, people who are incredibly gifted at speaking, leadership,
Yeah.
maybe even in, like, as you would call them, spiritual gifts, the prophetic. And but that does not necessarily align with one's character. Right?
Mm-mm.
You can have
Yes.
incredible giftedness. You could
Yes.
be an incredible communicator and really not be functioning in the world with maybe integrity or
Mhm.
a sense of alignment, embodiment of what you're
Yes.
communicating. It's no different. And so
Yeah.
that's so powerful.
It's
The Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I absolutely agree, and I love your example because it's true across the board in terms of anyone who's in a position to lead or anybody's in a position to heal or whatever it is so here's a fascinating thing. When I was first exploring this and learning about this, so I had booked a session with a woman who was a psychic or a channel, and she tuned into my field, and she immediately began reading as if they were true, all of my ridiculous fears. And the thing that was crazy about it is I knew, like I was rational enough to know that is my irrational fear. And you are somehow reading my irrational fear as if it's going to happen. But
Hmm.
imagine if I didn't have, like if I didn't realize or
Mhm.
that it was an irrational fear and she just said to me, "Oh my gosh, yes, whatever it is, your plane is going to crash or whatever." I would have been terrified. And I was so fascinated by this, watching her read whatever there was some layer in my field she was tapping into. This is where your crazy fears lay. And
Mhm.
so then I booked another session several months later just to test, just to see if she would do it again. And she did. And she went right to my irrational fears and told me but she didn't say they were fears. She said, "This is what I see in your field." And so, but what I learned over time is that from working in this doing this kind of work and through my own healing is that what it is there was something in her field that was focused on fear, that was focused, this is her reality. And so even though yes, she's channeling and she's connecting, she's reading me, no question, she was reading me, but she was reading me through her filter. And her
Mhm.
filter was one of looking for what is scary in the world, what is out there that's going to terrify me. And so when she looked at me and said, "What is going to terrify you?" And so I think it's really important as we use our own discernment before we allow ourselves to be led or guided by whatever we receive other than our own internal guidance is this landing, like in terms of yourself, is it inspiring fear? There's no message from spirit that is going to inspire fear. I think it's really really helpful for us to not be misled in that way. And there's no judgment about that. People do their best. It's just I think it's we have a greater responsibility for ourselves and then in terms of what we receive in, and then also anyone who's in that position to lead has a greater responsibility to acknowledge their own weaknesses and to acknowledge where they are not necessarily a clear channel of spirit.
Mhm. When did you first become introduced to this concept of channeling?
Yeah.
And did you know right away, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be a channel?
Oh gosh, like it was so not on my radar. Like I started out as a healer, and I started having these crazy experiences. The experiences were now that okay, you heard of the telepathy tapes? If you listen to
Mhm.
those,
Yes, yes.
super fascinating, right? So I don't know if your audience hasn't listened. That's a great listen, but it's all about how these people who are autistic are meeting through telepathy. Having these almost like meeting places they can go to and communicate with one another. That they are actually telepathic. Well, I did not understand what was happening to me, but I started to experience people telepathically.
Mm.
And this was actually a gateway to how I learned how to be a healer. So, for example, I had gone to this event and I'd met some friends, wonderful people, and I was home. And one of them just popped into my mind. I thought about her. I was like, oh, I should give her a call and see if she's back yet because she was going to do some traveling. And as soon as I think about her, boom, I'm literally in her body looking out of her eyes, seeing what she is seeing in that moment. and which of course absolutely blew my mind, startled me. I saw she was sitting on an airplane. I saw she was watching a movie where I could see the actor on the movie. I could see what movie it was. Then she looks this direction and she's looking at the sandals with a woman sitting next to her. Freaks me out. Immediately it stops. I pull back or whatever. And I text her like, are you on an airplane? And like 2 hours later, she gets back. She's like, yeah. And she confirmed every detail. So I realized I could do this at will. And it felt very invasive. So I would make appointments with people. I would, with friends, I'd be like, I'm practicing this weird thing. Can I try this? And every time it was like, it was crazy accurate. So like the next day I had a friend who was in town and I said, hey, can we do this at 11? Can I come in at 11 o'clock tomorrow? Can I try to see through your eyes? So at 11 o'clock.
And you're freaky. That is some weird stuff. What do you call that? What do you call that?
Well, it turned out to be it is telepathic, is what it is. It's telepathic. And so what was amazing about it, it's how I ended up I used it for healing. So what I would do is when I used to work as a healer, things have now I've become more of I channel healing, but life has moved on. But in the beginning, I started out as a healer. I would move my energy into my client's body and I would be able to perceive from inside the body, I would perceive where their wounding was. I could perceive heaviness or density,
Mhm.
and the angels would come in through me and they would help to lift the energy. And I could perceive because I was feeling it as if it was my own body. I could perceive when the energy lifted. So it was incredible as a way of confirming, okay, that's gone. Like that, you just moved through that energy, you've now released it. And it was as a healing modality, it rocked. Like it was incredible. I knew when it was working. It was awesome. And it was this thing because I was I was channeling my connection, but I would get inside them, and it would be as if they were channeling the connection. So it was awesome. But that's kind of yeah. It was definitely in the beginning. It was trial by fire. It was like lots of crazy psychic experiences, and I had to learn how to control it, how to work with it, all of that. Yeah. So it was. I was not. It was not expected.
Yeah, yeah. Were you, working kind of like a normal job at the time, or was
Yeah.
this your full-time focus as well?
No. Well, okay. So when it first started happening, I had a full on like corporate, I was an executive coach, working in very, like some of the biggest companies in the world, working with their executive teams. Like this was not something I could talk about openly
Mhm.
at all. At all. As a matter of fact, one of the CEOs me and my partner worked with, brought in a very like spiritualism light. It was called Big Mind. He brought Big Mind into his company. And it's really just about like trying to understand different parts of yourself. And he got fired for it. So like and I think things have changed now dramatically. As a matter of fact, I was recently invited to channel for a company, which blew my mind, that was super cool. But at the time, this was what, 15 years ago, it was a no-go. So I really was at a point of choice.
Mhm.
And like clearly I chose to leave it all behind. But it was people say, oh, are you choosing to go down this path to make worldly riches? I was like, no. Like I had a great job and I quit to do
Yeah.
this. So yeah. Yeah.
When did you first experience what you now call the angels?
Yeah.
Like, when did that begin to kinda come into you? Did you know the purpose that they had, like, the mission, so to speak, of
Yeah.
working through you?
I so no. Like they everything for me has been there have been no instruction manuals. It has been like a great mystery of unraveling little piece by little piece, and they will just and I call it the patience of the infinite. Is of the and that they will just sit there and watch me struggle and wait for me to figure it out. And or the patience of the eternal, I mean, is because they don't know time, so they're in no hurry at all. And I think it makes sense given who I am because I think if I knew the answer before I started, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting for me. So I think they just let me work it out. And I think it's been, even though like it would have been a lot faster. Like for example, the first time I was working full time as a healer, and I described my process to you as I was
Mhm.
working in that way. So I knew I was connecting, but I knew that I just called them my guides who I was connecting with, and I could feel them. I knew their vibration, but I just called them guides. But I didn't know, I wasn't talking about angels or anything like that. And then one day I sat down to meditate, and the minute I closed my eyes, this weird pressure came over me, and it was pushing on my forehead and on my chest so heavy I could barely breathe. It was like like it was a physical pressure, and I was like, okay, what is this? And I assumed, because my guides would always come in through my back, I thought they were just trying to come in through the front for some reason, and I was really confused. And this happened for the next 6 months. Every single time I would sit down and meditate, this pressure where they would sit on me. And I was like, come on already. Like, what is going on? And finally, after 6 months, it dawned on me that they were not trying to come in, they were trying to lift me up. And as soon as I realized that, my crown chakra opened and zoop, I went up, my vibration shifted, I went up really high. And then all of a sudden I'm in this space in my third eye, I'm in this space and there's a whole like line circling around me of angels. And I'm like, of course, I'm like, and I'm amazed, excited, like, something's happening. This is incredible. I'm amazed. And I'm just waiting for wisdom or something. Like, hey, let's talk. And nothing. They just sat there and smiled at me and did not say a peep. And this went on for another 6 months, where every single time I would sit down and meditate, I'd immediately go up and there they'd be. And I tried everything. It was literally like charades. I would be like, can you write on tablets? You guys like tablets? Let's do like what? How am I going to get this started? And it finally, after another 6 months, it occurred to me that I needed to go up to where they were, but leave a part of myself down here. I couldn't go up so fully. I had to leave a little bit of myself down here. I'd go up, but I'd had to kind of stay half conscious in my body. When I did that, all of a sudden it was like a pipe opened and stuff started to flow. So, but I like if they had just told me, but they like nobody, basically they were just like, you'll figure it out. Just keep trying. You'll figure it out.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. What's so interesting about the topic of angels, um, you know, as I shared with you, my background, a lot of angels in the Bible.
Yes.
Angels are talking to people.
Yeah.
People don't talk to angels a lot. It's more angels talking. But what's so fascinating about the Christian faith is, especially in evangelical Christianity, you don't talk to angels. That's
Right.
not okay. You talk to Jesus, you talk to God,
Oh,
maybe you talk to the Holy Spirit, but you do not talk to angels. Like that's
really?
just like, yeah, you just don't do that. Like that's for, I don't know, that's for weirdo people or something. That's
Is it considered to be like, is there something bad about it? Or it's just, you just don't see it in the Bible?
well, no, it's not. It's the fact that why go? Evangelical Christianity is all about don't go through someone
Oh,
else.
to get
Go
to source.
straight to the source,
Yes,
right?
that
We're
makes
not
sense.
talking to Mary. We're not talking to saints. We're not talking to angels, right?
Yes.
What's so fascinating is I just had this interview with Ken Lloyd, who will also be at the San Diego Transcendence retreat, and
Awesome.
he's this healer, and he's telling me as he's doing some healing work on me on the podcast, he's like, there are angels who want to work with you. Like
Oh,
they're wanting to talk with you and stuff. And I was like, I think I still got some programming in there about angels, you know?
wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my question for you is, do you believe that we each have, I don't know, it sounds a little cheesy to say, but like a guardian angel, or just general angels that watch over us or that we can have access to? If you do believe that, how do we connect with them?
Yes. Yeah. First of all, absolutely. So there is, and there's so much we could go into here. It's such a fun topic so each of us has an actual angel who incarnated with us, who is bound to us for this life. And so there is a difference between incarnated angels and non-incarnated angels. So when you hear of people who are here on earth who can see angels, often what they are seeing is incarnated angels who have literally come down to earth. They've been basically like birthed into the earth just like we are, except they're in a light body rather than a physical body.
Are they a
So
soul? Are they a soul or a spirit like us, but just in a light body? Or are they
it,
something different than a soul?
there's something different. And this is what I love. And this is what I think is a lovely answer to help you. How do you come to terms with the conditioning that you experienced about only going to source? So the angels have told me that the difference between us and them is that they are the light of the divine. We are the spark of the divine. So the angels are the divine, just like we are the divine. Like we are an embodiment of the divine. So are they. So when we talk to each other, I'm right now speaking with you, I am speaking to source. And I speak to the angels, I'm speaking to source. We are all the divine.
Mhm.
And the angels, but they are a different aspect of the divine. So they are divine awareness, the light of the divine. They shine. That's what we think of them as messengers all the time. The way that they provide that messenger service is that they shine the awareness of the divine on whatever. If we want to say a prayer, the angels shine the awareness of God or spirit or source, whatever you use. I use God but they shine the light of God on that prayer. Their awareness, it's almost like, think of their awareness as being like almost like a spotlight of God's attention, and they move it to wherever they are, right? That is their gift. And they can create things, but they don't create things from who they are. So we are the spark of the divine. So what that means is that we carry literally an aspect of the divine inside of us, that when we walk into a room, the room changes to reflect who we are on the inside. We create subconsciously, we literally, our reality, we create realities is who we are. Our reality becomes a reflection of who we are. That is the spark of the divine. The divine creator creates a reality based on the divine. That's what we do. So we are that spark. They are the light. Isn't that
Mm,
amazing?
that
And
is
so,
powerful.
yeah,
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 keep going. What were you going to say?
yeah. So I was just going to say, so yeah, every single person and angels. So angels are not like us. They are like an essence. They are everywhere. Like the closest understanding I've been able to grasp or relating to it is, you've ever heard of, like, there's a thing out there called dark matter, which is like the matter that wherever there's space where something is not, they call that dark matter. And I think of that space where something is not as the essence of angels. And I don't know if dark matter or angels, whatever. I just use that as an analogy. But it is the idea that they are an essence that is literally everywhere all the time. And that we have all these different identities within the angelic realm. We have Archangel Michael and Gabriel, and we have all these different personalities, but it works like a collective. So, for example, how is it that Archangel Michael could be with so many people all at once? It's because if our body is a great metaphor to understand the universe, we understand that every one of our cells contains the information of the entire body. Well, within the angelic essence, every little molecule of essence contains the information of all the angelic realm. So if we call on Archangel Michael out of the essence around us, zoop, it can form up into Archangel Michael, and he can be anywhere at all, and in many different places. And same thing, it can any angel, any, and each of those personalities, each of those, however you want to, the different people we think of, angels that we think of, they are each an embodiment of specific qualities, specific traits that we call on, or and anyway. So does that make sense? That's my understanding of how it works.
And you were differentiating between incarnated angels and non-incarnated
So the
angels, or
ones I just described in essence form, those are non-incarnated angels. And by far the majority, like the vast majority of angels have never incarnated. But there are some who have incarnated, and they have come to earth to be here with us. And it's not an easy thing for them. Like, literally, when you have your guardian angel, they basically are tied to you, and you are the one driving the bus. So wherever you go, whatever crazy detours you are taking, that angel is along for the ride. To me, that is such an incredible demonstration of love, right? Is that they are there to guide the divine spark that you carry, to make sure that you can make it through this entire life, have all the experiences you choose to have, but your divine spark, your soul, is always safe. So yeah, but and it's amazing. I actually had a dream once that I gave birth to an angel, and it was how they taught me that angels incarnate, and it was crazy. In the dream, I walk up. I follow my dreams a lot. My dreams are really, really helpful to me. And in the dream, I'm sitting at a picnic table with a woman, and she tells me I'm about to give birth. And of course, you know how dreams are. I'm like, oh wow, okay, oh, I didn't know that. And she goes away to like get whatever, the hot water, what was going to need it. And as soon as she walks from the table, I realize the baby is coming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the baby's coming. So I reach down to get the baby, and I pull it up. And as I'm pulling it up, it turns into a toddler, and I'm holding her up, and it's clearly an angel, like a 2-year-old angel. And the little angel holds its arms up and goes, yay, I'm here. And that's the whole dream. But it's like literally they're born onto the earth just like we are. Crazy, right?
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Um, in your book, What Comes Next, you have a passage, a section where you mention that a lot of religions create a system where you've got to follow certain rules or jump through certain hoops in order to be included or saved or make it to the next side, whatever it might be. And you suggest that everyone is included in this spiritual shift that we're going through. And so I'm curious about a couple of things. One, why do you believe that everyone is included, even those bad people, right, that are in our world? Why do you think everybody is included? And then What about the people who are just disinterested, clueless, asleep to these different spiritual shifts? Help us understand this a bit.
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you. Is that so? One of the things that I think just a beautiful, beautiful, I also channel the mother of creation in addition to the angels, and she's been giving me some profound, profound messages. And one of the things she told me is that that every single person holds the light, and that we've all made a choice at some point in the beginning of our journey here on earth. And some of us are pursuing our path back to the light through the light. And some of us have chosen to pursue our path back to the light through the dark. And she said both are valid, that both are pathways to the light. It's just the dark is harder, it takes longer. And so the people who are on a pursuit of the path through the dark, they will have to encounter the depths of their soul through the darkness. But they are on a journey to return to the light. That is the point of the journey, right? That they are still the light, that even the darkest, darkest, darkest person that you can think of, they are still at their core, they are still the light. And so I actually encountered one time, shockingly, out of the blue, did not expect it. I encountered someone who was truly possessed, and I would have never believed it until I saw it. And I would have thought I would have been terrified if I ever had to face that. I would have thought I would have been just super scared to face it, because you just think like, what is it and how? And it's scary. It's, you would think it was scary anyways. When it happened, is the person who was dealing with this was really needing help, and what shocked me is I felt no fear at all. No fear. All I felt was incredible compassion and love. And as I was speaking with this person, this creature was kept surfacing. Just like you would, I mean, it's unbelievable. If I hadn't seen it, been there, and there was other people with me, I would have never believed it. But immediately the angels came through and they began channeling. Like they started, they were just like, we are here. And they started channeling and they started talking to this being. And the first thing they said is called him by name and told him he was an angel. And they started reminding him of who he is as an angel. And they were telling him, this is what they told him he used to be a writer, and that all the things he did when he was in his angelic form, reminding him and telling him it was safe for him to come home, and telling him you will be loved again, you will be accepted, you are invited. And no matter what this being said, they just were love, 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 come home, come home, come home. It was mind blowing. It's beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So the point being, if a soul who has gone that dark is still the light, we are all still the light.
Mhm. How does that understanding of people, how could that understanding of people in our world, in light of the political divide that we have
Yeah.
in the United States and just even in the world, a lot of countries have political divide. How could that understanding that you just described, that everyone is light, how could that impact our daily lives, our relationships, the way that we view other people, how we navigate these challenges?
Yeah, I think we all can relate to that in terms of our own personal journey. Is that there may be experiences, I know there's experiences I had that I would not have been sympathetic to unless I had gone through it. Like for example, I had a really destructive marriage. One of my second marriage was very, very destructive. And if you had asked me before I had been in that situation, I would have not understood why someone would have stayed in that situation. I would have said, well, that person's crazy. Why would they ever stay in that? Wouldn't they know better? They should take care of themselves. But there I was, right? And there I was in that situation. And leaving was so hard. And I would have never understood that until it happened to me, until I went through it. And now, having gone through that, I'm infinitely more compassionate to other people who are stuck in that same position, who any kind of situation. It opened my eyes to how a person who's very capable in the world, who has all their stuff together, and yet are stuck, whether it be addiction, whether it be a really hard whatever it is. Why is it that people cannot free themselves? It opened my heart. And so I think that is the truth of it, is that we look into our own experiences, and that helps us to try to soften, to open our compassion to other people and to what they're going through.
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, I know we talked before the interview about the possibility of you sharing a message from the angels. Is that something that you would still feel comfortable with?
Sure, yeah, let's do it. They always
Okay.
love to talk.
And is this a message that they bring? Should I ask a question? Like, what would be
Well,
appropriate?
it's I never know what they're gonna do, so sometimes they come in, and if they're ready for questions, they'll just you can just talk to them the same way you talk to me. So sometimes they come in and start talking. Sometimes they come in and say hello and open up and they'll tell you you can ask questions or whatever. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's open communication. If anything, that's one of the things that they do say is they want us not to put them on a pedestal because that creates distance between us and them. They say treat them like a dear friend, like someone who is your equal, who is a dear friend.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so regular conversation is where it's at. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So if you don't mind to connect, I'll go ahead and lead us through a grounding. We can do it together.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and close your eyes and go ahead and drop down from your tailbone a nice thick root that goes down through the floor and down into the ground, and follow it down with your mind as it grows and extends, growing deeper and deeper into the earth. And follow it down where it's dark and cool, extending longer and longer. And follow it all the way down to the very, very center of the earth. And when it reaches that center point, feel the root sprout and anchor itself in. And as it does, notice that the root is pulling gently and becoming taut. And feel as that tautness moves all the way up the root. And then all the way up your spine, anchoring you securely to the earth. Excellent. I'd like to ask the angels to please help me to be a clear channel of healing and information for us for our highest and best good. And please help us to receive this healing and information. Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and connect. Blessed beings, we are with you. We begin speaking now on some concerns you are having regarding the world outside and its beyond nature, of tomorrow, of what will pass, of what is coming, of how you might rise to the challenges, the undertakings you have begun already. For this transformation is already underway, and the new beginnings not far as of yet. They have begun rising incrementally. You are and always have been an orchestrator of light. Your beyond nature as a light being knows new beginnings and endings. You are aware what transformation causes within you and to the external. You have an awareness of how things will become, of what they might be like. Your own internal knowings are stirring, rising to your awareness, to your consciousness. You were aware before you came to this earth of what transformation is underway. You have no knowledge, though, and are unprepared for what exact form it shall take. For it has to become through what you are and who you are becoming. The new reality does not exist yet because you are the reality creators. It shall be and become as you are prepared to form a higher dimensionality from the truth that is your own starlight. You shall form a new reality to become the light that you embody. Do you have questions for us?
How do we create that new reality? What is that process? We can sometimes feel constrained by the economy, by relationships that we're in. Yet we might have dreams that have like failed in the past. We failed at something. How do we create that reality that we desire?
We thank you for asking this pertinent question. We say that you cannot create from here what does not yet exist, because all reference points are refractory. They return to what is not now, to old beginnings, to what is known, what is not new. You are recreating from the past within a consciousness bound to itself. It is a statement of I am that has begun long ago and continues to exude itself into presence again and again, repetition, repetition, repetition. The new statement of I am is begun once the old statement is complete. The placement of self must arrive to the gestational moment within which all has settled within you, wherein all that was no longer is, and the new beginning has not started. This is the period of infinite potential from which a new reality can rise. This occurs momentarily within the self as you have readied yourselves for this great shifting. However, it cannot occur until the potency of the illumination that has arrived to this plane of existence has aspired to a heightened state. This will instigate the opening of this potential for yourselves. The unraveling of the old reality is underway, but it has not yet concluded. Within this transformational period, bit by bit, person by person, the revolution shall be made once the frequency of the earth herself has risen into the octave that is receptive to this new dimension. This occurs with the instigation of the great flash of which we have spoken, which is coming yet, has not yet arrived. Do you understand us?
Tell me more about the Great Flash.
The great flash is, as you would perceive, an umbrella of orchestrated illumination that descends upon the earth all at once. Upon arrival, you shall feel yourselves transported as though your heightened state of awareness to which you have previously arrived is broken through, and a new perceptive self emerges. It shall come into your awareness, into your perception. You shall see the earth in a refractory lens as though there are sparkles around you, as if the air itself is alive with the electric. Do you understand us?
Yes. When do you sense this will happen?
This is a difficult question, for we do not experience time in the way that you do. But we can say that the necessary preparations have been accomplished. Your souls have met with the instigation already, and the earth is on path to receive this illuminatory force. It shall arrive within a framework of time that we cannot comprehend, but it is close, it is near. We see all probabilities, and we see all probabilities are met with the flash. It is near now. It is closer still than it was.
hmm For those who are listening or watching and are wanting to open themselves up to be a channel of divine messages, what would be your suggestion or instruction in terms of how to become a more clear channel?
We thank you. Thank you for this inspiring inquiry. We wish to say that the pathway toward your own gifting, toward that which inspires you with the levitation from spirit, is always self acceptance. It is always the pathway through which you learn to allow yourself to be. This is all that is required. Allow yourselves to be what you are, the truth of you, the full endowment of your experience, all you have done, all you have felt, all that once was. Acknowledge its truth. Allow it to become through what you are. Feel what must unfold within you and become into the presence of your truth. By doing this, you open the portals, the doorway to your own highest expression. Your expression is like an orchestration of notes tied together into song, into music. Each experience you have been having is a musical intrusion upon this blessing that you are. Each one must be added to the chorus. Each one must be integrated into the wholeness of you. Once this is accomplished, you rise into the expectation of your truth, and light emanates through you. This is the pathway to clarity, to your connection. Do you understand us?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful metaphor of the notes coming together. Just for the sake of time, I have a final question for you, and that is, what do you appreciate and love about Anne and working with Anne?
We are intimately close within her physical structure, embodied as always, within and without. We are integrated as one thought, as one beingness. She allows us in freely, freely, in movement, in gesture. She allows us to be with her closely. She has no regard for self that does not allow us to be. She has the full acceptance of the angelic and of others. There is no aspect of the Creator's light that she does not embrace. This is her most loved quality.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We thank you. We say blessings and goodbye. Hey. Hi, what did I miss?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mm,
Yeah, the
yeah,
um, uh, the amazing breadth of obviously the wisdom, but in the process, what is so fascinating is the breadth of vocabulary
yeah,
and poetic articulation
yeah,
is
yeah.
through the roof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. And if you just try speaking like that, like it would take like yeah, there's just that's the thing that blew my mind the first time I channeled them is I looked down at what came through because I was in beginning I was channeling it by hearing the words and I would write them down in the beginning and then eventually they said just dictate and that opened and became more fluid. But
Mhm.
the thing that shocked me was the poetry was that it's not just coherent, it's gorgeous, you know? It's yeah, it's mind-blowing to me. It's like, do they spend all week preparing for my Friday messages and just crafting these beautiful you know what I mean? Like I wonder. Because yeah, it's amazing to me. They use everything that they say has to come through me. But they every word I've ever heard, I because a lot of things they'll use words when I do my Friday messages, I have to look up a lot of words. But I know I've heard it sometime. So it's in there rattling around. So if I've ever heard it, then they will pull it and put it together and but frequently I end up using the dictionary when I'm preparing for my Friday messages when I'm trying to analyze and help people understand everything. We just it helps to get more depth out of it when we pull it
Right.
apart and talk it through. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. You have so many ways on your website and social media that people
Yeah.
can engage with your messages and wisdom. I'm particularly, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the nine angelic frequencies
Yeah, yeah.
transmissions, and then share anything and everything you want to tell us about what you've got that people
Oh,
can
thank
connect
you
with.
so much. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, the nine angelic frequencies that was a very exciting time when I channeled those frequencies. The angels came through and told me, and it was early on in my journey as a trans channel. They said I was going to be bringing through nine frequencies that had never been to Earth before. And this was after a period where they told me they were going to be modifying my vocal cords so that I could transmit. So it's my heart and my vocal cords so I could transmit frequencies. And so there was a period for about 4 months where I couldn't speak, where I could speak for about 20 minutes and then it was gone. And it was this. They were working and doing something, transforming how I could deliver healing essentially through my physical body. And they told me that there would be nine frequencies. I was supposed to hold each one for 90 minutes, which at that time was like running a marathon. Like I did at the time I could probably channel for maybe 15 minutes before I was exhausted. They said I was going to go 90 minutes. I didn't know how that was going to happen. And they said there would be people there from all over the world. And this was at a time before I was well known. So I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it did. And it was fascinating as I went through the messages. I did one a month. I got better and better and better, but the frequencies are incredible. They are basically nine frequencies that help us to embody new earth. So you asked before, like, how do we get to that higher vibration? This is one of the ways, is that there's these nine frequencies that we can embody now that will help us on the journey. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. So they're described. You can see each one is different and each one does a different thing. But yeah, that was an incredible journey to bring those through.
This is at anntucker.com, of
Hmm.
course, which we'll link to in the show notes. You have a retreat coming up in
Yeah.
Seattle,
Yeah.
October 24th through the 26th. It's called the Expand Your Heart Retreat. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this is one of my what lights me up is being together in community. One of the things that the Mother Creation told me, which was so amazing, you know how she always says we are all the light, we all hold the light. But when we are in isolation, we cannot create the light. When we're alone, we are the light, but the light stays inside of us. When we connect with another, we create the light. Two people come together and we make the light. So imagine what happens when you have a whole group of people together. The light, the vibration just goes up and up and up. That's the retreat. So the Expand Your Heart retreat is where I bring through the Mother of Creation, and we do incredible healings. I call it eat, pray, love, because that's what we do. We have fabulous meals, and then we go into major meditations and healings with the Mother of Creation and the angels, and then we have amazing time with friends, and it's amazing for making connections. And I find it to be one of my most favorite things that I do. So yeah.
Wonderful. Is this open to both men and women, or just women? Or
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
okay,
we have actually a really nice balance of men and women. I know sometimes men feel like they're left out and awkward because they're the only guy here. No, we have a really nice balance of men and women at the event, which is great.
what are some other ways that people can work with you in terms of receiving these messages? I mean, you've got a long list on your website, so
Yeah.
but are there a couple that you would want to bring to our attention?
Thank you. I just to keep it simple, people can find me on my YouTube channel, which is under my name, which is Ann Tuck. Everything is under my name, just to keep it simple. It's Ann with an E, just like Anna Green Gables,
Mhm.
and AnnTucker.com or Ann Tucker at YouTube. And that's some of the best ways to find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Go
And
ahead. What
then
were
I
you
wanted
gonna
to mention Suzanne's retreat as well.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to see you in person. This is the San Diego Ascension, not Ascension, that's the Sedona Ascension Retreat.
Yes.
San Diego Transcendence Retreat, which
Yeah.
is September 27, 28, 2025. You will be a featured presenter there. What can people expect from you?
Oh, it's Suzanne puts on such an amazing event. I love being a part of it. She always pulls together such great people, and it's such good energy. I will be on stage. I will be bringing through the Mother of Creation. We will have a healing from the stage, which is amazing because you. It was actually really really cool. I brought her through briefly at the Sedona Ascension event, and I didn't tell people at the time exactly how she works. What she does is she comes through my heart chakra. My heart chakra becomes a portal and she moves through it. And multiple people came after me afterwards, of people that are so connected at her event. She gathers such a good crowd
Yeah.
that they get a lot of psychics and channels and healers in the group. And many people came up afterwards and said they saw my heart become a portal and blue light come through. And it was amazing to me because it was like, I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them that was happening. They just saw it. which is so fun. But people will have their own individual experiences of that healing with the Mother of Creation. It is possible that people frequently feel the energy, feel or see or have their own individual experiences of it, which is just amazing to me. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
All right.
it's going to be great.
AnnTucker.com to find all of Ann's work. And of course, we'll link to all of her social media in the show notes as well. And then if you want to get tickets to see Ann in person at San Diego Transcendenceretreat.com as well. So, Ann, it has just been a delight to get to know you. I just appreciate your energy, and your
Thank
heart
you.
is so wide. It just feels amazing. So thank you for what you're doing in the world. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this beautiful platform you've built, for sharing it with me. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Awaken Magazine podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and our other conversations, would you mind taking a moment to leave a 5-star review and maybe even a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts? That's one of the ways that you can give back to the show and help us reach more people. And of course, feel free to share the episode with a friend. And if you're not already on our email list, we send out an inspiring email every Monday morning full of articles and interviews. Just head on over to awakenedmagazine.com and click subscribe and join for free. Our hope is that all the resources we share will help our world continue awakening to love.